So a lot of our promotion for DC stuff ends up being, it exists. Here is its title. Here is where you can go
Dark
order
Crisis
it. I don't know why you'd want to order it.
DC's huge summer event. It's their all eggs in one basket. Everything changes here.
Yep.
And in doing the lunar orders that got submitted this week,
Yep.
Dal, can you tell me how many subscribers pre-ordered this book?
4.
4.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
It's that really fun time of recording where right before you do it, you think, oh, there's a sesame seed stuck in my teeth from breakfast. Let me get that out.
Oh, no.
Then you flick it out with your tongue in your mouth and immediately fills up with blood. You know, the normal.
Normal,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's healthy. Healthy mouth stuff. That's today's theme.
That is definitely a taste residue, so I'm going to be drinking a little bit while
That's
we go,
fine.
just to, clear the mouth.
Yep, perfect way to start the podcast. Big ol' drink of soda.
It's, I don't know if you can relate, Dal, but it's like having a mouthful of stress.
Got it. One of the interesting things about today's episode, and I hope people can sort of hear it maybe in us, neither Patrick or I was working today, and we're actually recording this a different day of the week than we normally do, and earlier in the day as well. I feel like I, in particular, will not be nearly as tired, because usually, like, right before we record,
All the yawns come out.
I've been sitting in a room for, like, anywhere between half an hour and an hour, reading, killing time, whatever.
Waiting for me to get to the studio.
Kind of, yeah. So it's...
It's interesting to me because...
And you're stressed as hell when you come in, so it's like... Hopefully this is a better feeling for people.
You know that I'm never going to get to the studio before 6, yet I think you still go in at like 5.
I don't. I go in it. I've started pushing it back because I started to realize, like, God, it's. I think the first few times I was like, I'll get in the studio at like 5:15. That way, if Patrick gets there, 5:30 or so, like, that's a normal time. And then it was like, oh, I've been sitting here for 45 minutes, and so now I go into the studio at 5:45.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm still sitting there for like 45
Look,
minutes.
I have to wait for the chauffeur to show up after I close the store.
Sure. And then the chauffeur...
And there's traffic.
And then the chauffeur has to take you to the helipad.
Yeah.
And then the helipad has to get clearance from the tower.
Which they should do ahead of time. I mean, you don't waste my time.
Well, maybe we should upgrade it to the platinum service instead of the premium service.
Yeah. It's just
you
that
get what you pay for, Patrick.
The only problem is that the next helipad is equidistant from the studio in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So then I have to get... Like, basically, the chauffeur just then drives to the other helipad to wait and to pick me up and take me back.
Well, and the problem is the second helipad is in the east. It's east of the studio. So you're traveling west, and that's like a sundown thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't want that in your face.
Yeah, but it makes me feel like a movie is ending every time I'm going. Like, credits are rolling, and I'm just going into the sunset.
That's why you're sorry you're going to show up, because the movie's over.
That's right.
I had some good news today, Patrick. I was looking at the Marvel solicits.
Okay. I've not looked at those, so all these will be brand new.
There's only one thing worth talking about.
Let me know if I can help.
And it's, Siri, you can't help because I'm already getting everything I ever wanted, which is a complete, and I mean complete, Gwenpool Omnibus.
Oh, wow. I just figured it would be another...
Incredibly excited.
Like a Power Pack 2-in-1 omnibus.
No. Gwenpool Omnibus, I was hoping for Gwenpool Ultimate Collections. That was the height of my expectation, since most of the single volumes are out of print.
Yeah.
I wanted something kind of all-inclusive, and I thought, 2 or 3 Ultimate Collections will do it. And while I would still like those to be available for people who don't want to spend $125 on everything Gwenpool ever, the fact that they're doing something that includes... I'd have to look at this list to know for sure, but I know it includes at least the original series and the recent 5-issue miniseries that Leah Williams wrote. And I think it's got some other stuff in there as well, like backup stories and... like all the stuff that was previously collected, I think, in the 5 or 6 volumes of... I think 5 volumes of the Unbelievable Gwenpool series. They're doing 2 covers. The good one, which is the Guru Hero covered issue 1 in the first volume cover. And then they're also doing a variant, which is interesting historically. It's the Chris Bachalo variant that introduced the Gwenpool costume.
Oh, okay. So that's a Well, that should be the back cover, I think. I'm sure that'll be in the book somewhere because
I'm sure all the covers will be in there.
Gwenpool didn't exist. I thought it was Ron Lim who did it.
No, my understanding, and I'd have to double check just to be absolutely certain, but my memory is that Chris Bachalo did a Gwenpool variant because they were doing like some sort of
a Deadpool month.
It was a Deadpool
covers.
month of variants, and his thing was like basically Spider-Gwen but Deadpool. So he came up with the Gwenpool costume.
Yeah,
and then cosplayers just grabbed a hold of it and made it a reality to the point that Marvel's like, we should probably do something with this. So they introduced her as a Chris Hastings written backup character in Howard the Duck that then very quickly became its own series drawn by Danilo Bayruth did the art for the Howard the Duck backups, but then Guru Hero took it over starting with issue 1.
that is a heck of a name. Danilo Bayruth.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like half a candy bar.
I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's that was the original artist for Gwenpool when she was a Howard the Duck backup character.
I do like that it went from the idea of something that could be mass marketed and sold to many people to now just, there's maybe 50 people that'll buy this over the country.
I hope it's enough for them to produce it. One of the things to note, though, is that Marvel's publication strategy for their backlist is very omnibus heavy. So the fact that Gwenpool has reached a level at which Marvel's like, oh, now she's worth making actual money on, is kind of great. Like, that's maybe more of a validation than you'd think.
Now, they've already done 2 Power Pack omnibuses, okay? Omnibuy. So they're reaching. I'm waiting for the Death's Head omnibus.
I don't know what else.
The Death's Head 2 omnibus. And my personal favorite...
Kickers Inc.?
No, Paladin. Just all Paladin
every
appearances.
Paladin appearance?
Yeah.
Every random Paladin appearance? From Silver Sable and the Wild Pack. Now that I've got the 2 Power Pack omnibuses, the all-new Wolverine omnibus, and I'll be getting the Gwenpool one, and there's a second Legion 5 years later omnibus coming out, I don't know what else I need.
Just close the store, we're done.
I mean,
That's
for
it?
me, as a collector, like, that's my library done. I don't need to ever get another book, I guess. I'm sure there's something out there I'm forgetting, but there's very little from, like, the backlist. Things from years past that I don't have my favorite version of, basically.
I know they don't make them, but what about a Yotsuba omnibus?
I wouldn't like it, because the problem with a lot of omnibuses and why I've stopped, I collected them for a little bit, not collected, but I'd gotten a few, and then I got rid of them, because they're not really fun to read. They're too gigantic and too massive, and I think manga omnibuses are some of, like, the least compelling print editions out there, because it's, at least with a comic book, like a North American comic, regular format, they're big enough that if you have, 1,000 pages, there's enough real estate of the pages to make the binding still kind of work. But with a manga, it's so small that when you go, like, 3 volumes thick, it's like, this thing
You
is...
misunderstand. It'll be regular omnibus size, but it'll be 4 pages per page.
No, that'd be weird. I don't want that. I like that it's 4, though. That's the Yotsuba, it's 4. I like that.
That's right. I used to buy all the Absolute editions, and I had so many. I dumped them all on eBay. They're just there.
Yeah, I have a few. I've got Final Crisis. I'm looking at my bookshelves. Final Crisis, All-Star Superman, the 3 Prometheas. I think that's it.
We both have the massive Calvin and Hobbes hardcover set.
Oh, that was the smartest purchase ever made.
Yeah, but have you ever opened it?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not in more than a decade, for sure.
Sure.
But that's the sort of thing that makes sense to me, because it's like the All-Star Superman Absolute Edition. They're not making more of it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
When you're like... When I see things where it's like Wolverine Omnibus Volume 3, like, how many omnibuses are you going to have when it's all said and done? You're just collecting Wolverine comics. I just
mean the Calvin and Hobbes thing is so unwieldy.
It is.
It's funny because you have the giant Bone hardcover box set, and...
You know what the joke is? I never read all of Bone.
Well, you can. It's right there.
I can. It's an all-in-one full-color edition, I think.
And I did, like, for Sandman, I was doing... all the soft covers, and then they came out hardcovers, then I bought all the hardcovers. Then I still had all the singles. I'm like, why am I doing this?
I think the new book editions are pretty compelling. I think there's, 3 of them? I think that's a fun way to... That's like I was saying before with Gwenpool, the Ultimate editions are kind of my preferred way of getting a lot of that material, because I find that to be the right trade-off between cost-effective...
Trade-off?
cost effective, but also like I can sit down and read this. Like this is something I could have on my lap, or I could carry someplace, or I could pack in a bag. I'm not packing, a Power Pack Omnibus or a, all new Wolverine Omnibus in a bag. It's too heavy. It's
Sure.
Even if
it's made for a bookshelf down, not a bag.
It really is, and that's
like all those wrapped Mignola hardcovers.
Those I'm going to put in a suitcase and take on a trip.
Sure.
Not going to pack clothes.
That way you have I guess,
take those
door stops and a portable step wherever you need to go.
I'll lay them out and they'll make a little bed.
Well, my point was I realized I was getting way too many Sandman versions, and I got rid of everything but the singles. And for Bone, I have all the hardcovers.
You do.
Except for Coda, which was a softcover.
Cartoon books hardcovers.
That I've never read. I never read
advance
Coda, but I bought
the Scholastic versions.
I just sold a couple looking for a book, Bone, last week, and it's amazing to me how that book is still fresh and exciting and new for people.
Yeah.
So long after it came out.
Yeah, it's really something. I mean, that's a book. Single issues I remember selling at Downers Grove.
Yeah.
GCC Downers Grove.
I mean, that's where I bought them.
On Main Street.
That's where I bought my single issues of Bone.
When I was in high school, I think. And now, yeah, it's considered a staple of kids lit. Like, that's amazing. Good for Jeff Smith.
Yeah, no, for real. But we're doing this on the day that I found out that Netflix has decided to not pursue the Bone animated series.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, they just shut it all down.
I assume someone else will pick it up.
Maybe. We'll see.
Again, it's the sort of property that, now it's so ingrained. It's reaching that level of almost like Calvin and Hobbes ubiquity, like for kids growing up. Like you just experience it. Calvin and Hobbes isn't even that ubiquitous anymore because, they stopped making it 27 years ago.
You could say the same about Bone.
But Bone's still in print, and Bone's still constantly being discovered, like you said, by adults, by kids, by whatever.
I think the difference... I mean, I think you can still find Calvin Hobbes in books, and I think it's still in print, but it's not...
I think kids discover Bone in a way they don't discover Calvin Hobbes.
Bone takes them on a journey. Calvin and Hobbes just lets them laugh.
Yeah.
I'm sure Calvin Hobbes also takes them on a journey, but it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, they're doing different things, obviously. So yeah, I'd assume that sooner or later... Even if Netflix didn't, care for this particular version, someone else someday will make a Bone cartoon or movie or whatever.
Speaking of nostalgia, Marvel is really playing on my comic nostalgia by doing things like...
Paladin's getting a series?
November 1962 or whatever they're...
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, here's a massive hardcover of every Marvel book that came out that month.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I think it's great, but I don't want to buy it because that is a never-ending thing.
Yeah, and honestly, like, even the 1962 one they were doing kind of is only vaguely interesting because it's like, is it the first ASM or first is Amazing Fantasy 15 or FF1 or there's some superhero thing that's in there that makes it a point of like, this is the beginning of the Marvel era, but it's like, yeah, the problem is like the other 90% of their publishing was like romance comics, westerns, funny animal
books,
stuff, monster books, anthologies, like. The rest of it is stuff you're not gonna care about. It's just as Marvel as a publisher was starting to determine what their future would look like. It didn't happen yet, though. I
really like the series of Marvel Firsts they put out from, 5-6 years ago now, where it was like, hey, here's all the first appearance of all the major characters in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But even those aren't in print anymore.
No, the only thing I've really gotten from that sort of stuff is I bought the Decades book for which one is this, 80s? I have it here. Decades 80s, because it's trying to grab like a snapshot of like what were like the major stories
pivotal moments
of that era. So like, in this 80s one, it's
cover alone is black suited Spider-Man, Jim Rhodes as Iron Man.
I mean, this lineup is basically the Marvel 25th anniversary border that is ingrained in my brain as like the Marvel universe.
Steve Rogers was the captain. Thor had his funky armor.
I mean, all this stuff is my
which is
version
apparently
of...
what they modeled the Thor costume on in Love and Thunder.
I can see it. It's a lot of blue there, yeah. But yeah, what's in this 80s decade one is first Rhodey is Iron Man. It is this... What is this Wolverine issue? Oh, is this Mohawk Storm, I think? Yeah, Mohawk Storm.
Okay.
The She-Hulk joining the FF. Black costume Spider-Man in ASM 252.
All during the whole Secret Wars. Where are the heroes?
Yeah. Is this Grey Hulk? Grey Hulk.
Yeah.
Return of Grey Hulk and Incredible Hulk. This is an issue of Thor. This is
The armor.
his battle armor issue.
And then it's got to be Steve Rogers as captain in the end.
Yeah, this is the John Walker Cap debut. This is after Cap's given up the suit, so it's the debut of John Walker as Captain America, and I think then we've got the wedding issue of ASM, and the very final one is Archangel, the debut of Archangel and X Factor. And that's all stuff that, I mean, some of it I was buying books at this time. Sometimes it wasn't these particular books. But yeah, I mean, this is very much like a nostalgia sweet spot for me. But
I mean, that's what comic collecting is. It's everybody's earlier memories, you know? Like, I remember all that stuff as it happened.
it is and it isn't. I mean, I know for a lot of people that's the pull of a lot of collecting, you know?
Tugging on the old heartstrings.
Like,
remembering when you were youthful and full of vigor and energy and not a broken shell of a comic retailer who just shudders and falls into a fetal position every night.
So right before I turned 19. Got it.
Yeah.
The comic collecting thing kind of has a fun overlap with, I think, what we've talked about maybe before with the toy collecting stuff, because we'll watch the Ethan Page toy vlog, and a lot of people's emphasis on toy collecting is, and I think Ethan Page has outright said it this way, the stuff I had as a kid and the stuff I was never able to get as a kid. And I think that's a lot of people's comic collecting is that sense of like, you know, I want to get the Spider-Man comics I had as a kid, or I want to get the Spider-Man comics I could never afford when I was a kid. And then, you know, carrying that nostalgia forward into, you know, self-identifying as a Spider-Man collector, a Batman collector, whatever. And I think that is a lot of people and how they experience collecting. But, I mean, what I think is kind of fascinating is the amount of people who are the opposite of that, who are just, they literally just want something to read. They don't have a nostalgia for it. We've had so many people as adults come into the comic shop who, even superhero stuff, you know, they'll start reading different superhero comics, and it's not because they grew up with Batman or with the Avengers or with whomever. They just want something good to read, and they're excited about superheroes as a genre, which is, you know, so much of the predominance of the MCU and the popular culture was kind of built on the idea of like, well, you have to grow up with superheroes. Like, no one's ever going to just become a superhero fan. You have to get them when they're young. You know, the average adult's never going to care about superhero comics, and it's like, it's 2022. We know that's incorrect.
I also think that the way we just described personal choices of nostalgia and what we buy is not at all what Challengers is.
No, and
that
honestly,
is not the store that we run.
It's not even. It's only half of how you and I approach comics.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely stuff. You know, that Decades collection, yeah, it's cute. It's a fun thing to have because it's like, oh man, this is when I was a kid. But that's not like my personal collection for graphic novels and stuff. Like, All New Wolverine is not nostalgia. That's a thing that I read a few years ago and I really loved. Gwenpool's the same way. And I don't buy a lot of the older, you know, I don't need to get a collection of all the X-Men comics that I read as a kid. I read them. They were good. It's fun. But I don't need to own them. It's not, you know, part of my life forever.
Sure.
And a lot of the comics I'm reading right now, like, you know, we talked about it to death, but I read the final issue of Crimson Cage. It's fantastic. And that's something that is zero nostalgia for me. You know?
Sure.
It's just a good comic book. Really well done. The end.
We're going to hopefully move a lot of that trade when it comes out.
I hope so, yeah. We're going to make sure we stock a lot of it.
So Crimson Cage is an example of a book that seemingly came out of nowhere, and it didn't really have a specific build-up.
No.
But it's a book that just the concept we can get behind.
It's a really good concept.
But I feel like at least 60% of the industry today, and yes, this is a long segue, is books that are just thrown out there with no idea who they're for, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't sell because there'll be something immediately behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm specifically referring to, at this point in the month, we've just seen the DC solicits for July.
Yes.
And I think that they are all mostly very average and forgettable.
Yeah, there's stuff in there that I think, I mean, speaking specifically about the DC stuff and my memory of it,
I can go grab a catalog if you want, but
No,
I don't
it's
think
okay.
that's we're We're not here to single out specific things.
Yeah, although
we will, though.
Although we did, I remember, because we managed to get the DC catalog and the print edition of the catalog on Wednesday, so it was...
I actually read it online. It was up online last week when I finished the DC orders.
Oh, I don't think I got
the catalog, the digital catalog there. So I'm like, I'll flip through this. And I also want to quickly point out, I'm sorry,
no, sure,
that while today is the 21st, happy birthday, Mike Lee.
Happy birthday, Mike.
That the Marvel orders were due a full week ago.
Did you post the Diamond catalog?
I did.
Okay.
We don't get emails anymore because we don't do it through Comics Week. It does, yeah.
Right, but you had mentioned yesterday, like, oh, I need to do that, and then I never heard anything, so I was like, I hope we did it.
So, like, the Marvel orders were due on the 14th, which is weeks, like, it used to be, like, the last Thursday of the month.
Yeah.
Everything is so much earlier. We just posted the Diamond catalog, which would normally be due next week.
Okay.
Because there's still another Thursday in the month.
Yeah.
These things are getting earlier and earlier. I just got my stand goal by motioning my hands like that.
You raised your arm just enough to make your watch think you were standing up.
And like we're getting less and less time to promote these books, which what is promotion nowadays anyway?
Yeah.
It's so rapid and it's so many different times that it's so confusing, and I still have to go through and do all the PRH manga stuff yet.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll probably do after this.
Okay.
We'll see. You know what? We'll see.
We'll see.
But anyway, so I was able to see the DC stuff a little earlier. But anyway, we got the print catalogs.
We got the print catalogs, and on Wednesday,
a day or so ago,
which was nice because I was in the store, Patrick was in the store, Molly Jane was in the store, so all three of us could sort of experience the catalog, and kind of give our gut reactions to it. And mine was to get very loud about how I hated certain books existing because I just did not understand at all how they were additive to the industry in any way whatsoever. I mean, as always, the lowest bar is like, I'm glad someone's getting paid for this. But in general, it was like everything, all of these one-shots, like, have no reason to exist. I don't know why you would do a 6-issue adjunct series to the back half of a 12-issue limited series.
Which also has several one-shots in the middle of it as well.
But I can sort of forgive that because they're, like, we're talking about DC versus Vampires. I'll just lay it on the table.
Which is a good series that we both enjoy.
I really love it. So it's DC versus Vampires is a 12-issue series. They were taking a break between issues 6 and 7 because 6 is kind of the end of a huge part of the story. It's the end of the first half. Yeah. And they've done a huge reveal, and they've told you who the villain is. And then they were going to do...
I don't want to give too much away, but it's a vampire.
I can't believe it was Ambush Bug. They do a couple... They were basically taking 2 months off, and in those intervening 2 months, they're going to do 2 one-shots. It's like Hunters and Killers or something. I can't remember what it was called. And then they were going to come back with issue 7 right after that.
Company. Hunter Killer Collectibles.
And then the most insane thing, though, is that issue 7 comes back in July, as does DC vs. Vampires All-Out War #1 of 6. A completely separate, although somewhat overlapping, 6-issue miniseries running alongside DC vs. Vampires 7 through 12. I don't at all understand how that's supposed to work, other than just, like, why not just double ship this thing? Just say that it's now a 18-issue series, and you're double shipping it for 6 months.
I think they're looking at Deceased as their template, because they were doing all these, like, okay, well, what were the villains doing? Okay, well, what were these people doing?
But they didn't do them at the same time.
Yeah,
Unkillables happened after the first series. The digital thing was happening between something else. This is... it's so weird, and it's
probably going to end after the other one ends. Who knows?
It wouldn't surprise me. So, like, how that works, like, is... yeah, it's just infuriating to me. And that's on top of, like, we're in month 3 of Dark Crisis... So it's like issue 2 of the main series and some of the first of the one-shots and the other tie-ins. And so it's...
and who knows if they're going to be listed as one-shots or have series codes in our system.
It is all absolutely impossible to figure out a way to order, and also worse, to promote to people. Like, it's harder and harder to explain to people why they should be getting these things. So a lot of our promotion for DC stuff ends up being, it exists. Here here is its title, here is where you can go
Dark
order
Crisis
it. I don't know
is
why you'd want to order it.
DC's huge summer event. It starts with Justice League 75 that comes out next week.
Yeah.
It's their all eggs in one basket. Everything changes here.
Yep.
It's no, there was never going to be a 5G. This is the new future of DC. And in doing the lunar orders that got submitted this week,
Yep.
Dal, can you tell me how many subscribers pre-ordered this book?
4.
4.
I remember looking at that and thinking, that can't be right. And then it's like, no, it is. Like,
4.
DC readers have no idea what this is. We put it in our catalog email that we sent out to all of our subscribers. I think it's on the front counter display.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody knows about it or cares about it. And I don't blame them. I read the Justice League 75 and I thought it was mediocre, and it did not do a great job of making me, as someone who's not been reading Justice League or, frankly, a lot of DC comics, feel like Dark Crisis was the thing I would want to check out.
It doesn't matter because issue 74 was the end of Bendis' run.
Yeah. No, I know
which
that.
has nothing to do.
I'm just saying, like, A, I wasn't reading Justice League. B, I'm not reading any DC stuff. So if I was someone who was the casual fan who is aware of the DC characters and tried out Justice League 75 in hopes that it would spark an interest and I would want to read the continuation in Dark Crisis, Road to Dark Crisis, or whatever it's called, it did the opposite of that. I was like, oh, I definitely don't want to read this Dark Crisis book now. The DC catalog is... There are things that were exciting.
The cover story is a book we're incredibly excited about. Chip Zdarsky taking over Batman at 125.
Yeah, Batman 125 looks great. The new detective team looks great. I'm weirdly excited about DC Mech, which I think looks like a lot of fun. I thought the designs were good, and the idea of, like, the Justice Society got murdered by Darkseid in the 1940s, so Earth built a bunch of giant robots.
Okay.
And so the age of superheroes was over, and it's just super robots.
Stuff like that, or Jurassic League, fun, or DC vs. Vampires, whatever.
Yeah.
Fun offshoots like that. Fine, there's a niche somewhere, but their main core books, Aquaman, we get 3.
We're club only on Aquaman.
We get 3 copies of Aquaman. Green Lantern is...
They overshipped a variant cover for Aquaman number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The Jim Lee black and white variant. We sold none of that, and we sold none of the main cover off of the shelf.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
And this is all of the Aquamans together, not just Aquaman.
Completely irrelevant to everyone who shops at Challengers.
Our Wonder Woman numbers are back to where they used to be, and nobody cares about this massive... A, huge crossover of all the Wonder Woman books. Right. B, that there's so many Wonder Woman books. Every Amazon has a series now.
Yeah. We've
Nubia,
got subscribers
Artemis,
for these different books.
Yara Flor.
But Wonder Girl, people only ever cared about Joelle Jones's art, and that's reached its end, I guess.
They're doing a collection which is the 2 Future State issues, the 7 issues of the series, and then the 2 Trial of. Basically, all of Joelle's written things in one
Which I think
trade.
is great.
I agree.
I like
but it makes it sound like that's it for now.
Definitely feels that way.
She's moving over to the Punisher.
Yeah, well, okay.
That is. I say that because she's always wanted to work on the Punisher.
Well, there's enough people doing Punisher stuff that it's not out of hand. I don't know what her deal is with DC though. But the amount of Wonder Woman product, when there does not seem to be a lot of organic interest for more of that franchise, is crazy. Just in general, a lot of the stuff that trickles out, and this is my own pet peeve. The amount of one-shots is just dispiriting. It is so hard to get people to sign up for one-shots. It is so hard. Subscriptions, the whole point of subscriptions is the next one comes out and you get it. Like, why you would want to break that up as a publisher is baffling to me. And the amount of publishers that are now moving to almost exclusively one-shots is killing monthly superhero sales. I mean,
up to
so
now,
hard.
More than half of DC's line is miniseries.
Even miniseries make a kind of sense to me because it's like, okay, well, there's 12 issues of this. Great. People are going to buy issue 1, they're going to sign up for it as a series, and then they'll get issues 2 through 12. But when it's just another random one-shot for a character or a tie-in or whatever, I have to basically start from scratch. Like, there's stuff I can copy over for subscribers, but some subscribers hate that. And then if it's something that doesn't have a series to tie it to, I got to drum up a ton of interest for something I'm going to sell for a week.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
I'll say this about the orders I just turned in. I went almost exclusively A covers. Cut way back, and for DC, I cut way back on B covers and whatnot. And if you look at recent Marvel invoices versus recent DC invoices for a single week, when I get a PRH invoice from Marvel and I'm trying to break it down, there's like 90 some odd line items on it. The DC one is only 20 something.
Yep.
Because if you look at next week's for Marvel, there's 13 covers for Spider-Man, 8 covers for I can't remember what's coming out, but I know there's
probably.
there's
a Hulk.
Hulk Madness, Hulk Grand Design Madness, not to be confused with Monster,
and then Thor.
Yeah, so many variant covers, and
we don't even order all of them. I got to tell you that.
Yeah,
like, for as much as we do get variant covers from Marvel stuff when they're open order, and even for incentive variants, there's easily ones that I'll just go like, no, I don't think there's an audience for that, and so we're still getting a ton. And that's cutting out the ones that really won't sell.
But the thing with variant covers is no matter what, we still order more than we would. If we were going to order 25 copies of, let's say, Spider-Man #1, which we're just pulling out of the air, we would order way more than that.
Sure.
But when you break it down between, 13 covers, you're not going to get 3 covers of each, for...
Right.
7 covers or whatever.
Yeah, we don't. What we found out a while ago, and why we have to do it this way, is that the people who are going to get like the Momoko variant for, let's say, Amazing Spider-Man #1, I don't know if there is one, they won't get a different cover instead. So if you don't have that Momoko cover, it's not like they're like, all right, fine, I'll get the A cover. They'll just go someplace else.
Yeah.
So you can't order it like you're just moving numbers around. You have to order it as though it's a different SKU, that it's appealing to a different audience. Some people, will kind of shop the shelves. They'll look at the different covers and go, oh, this one's really interesting to me. So they might buy whatever you have in stock. But there's plenty of people who are buying multiple covers, and it's not like they would buy multiple copies of the same cover. They want a variety of covers. So you kind of have to order them that way, or you can just cut them and miss out on those sales. Which, sometimes is smart because the risk is too great. Who knows if there's going to be a lot of... Like, we were getting killed sometimes on the... when DC was doing those monthly anniversary issues. Like it would randomly be like Wonder Woman 700 or whatever.
Yeah. All the decade covers.
Yeah. So we would... Those are like $10 comic books, and if you get stuck with, a couple copies each of, the 9 covers, or 8 covers, so suddenly you're like, okay, well, I have $80 tied up in these stupid covers. Like, I don't want that. That's garbage now. Like, that's just money I lost.
I was looking at what we have left over for Inferno, because the Inferno hardcover just came out this week.
A lot.
And it was only 4 issues, but if you look at the stack on the shelf and the box in the back, there's so many covers. Like, how long was this series?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, there's just
and also they're thicker, so it makes the pile look a little bigger.
Yeah, sure. But I just mean, like, when you look at the spine, you can see all the different things.
It's a lot.
And that's a thing where I'm like, what would we have sold if we only ordered an A cover?
Yeah.
And you can't just order the A cover because you're not giving your customers the choices that they deserve. But also, we can't read your minds, and we don't know what you're going to get. And also, we order covers based off of our tastes. We're never ordering the Ron Friends cover for the shelf.
Maybe if it was for a Thunderstruck.
And I grew up on Ron Friends and loved that dude's art for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who does the Marvel FOCs, one of the main things that I use as far as a barometer for what we're going to order and not order for variants is what pre-orders we're getting. If it's a book that we did not, on initial order a variant cover, but we got 2 or 3 people saying, I want that variant cover, I'm going to order a few for the shelf now.
Sure, yeah.
There seems to be some demand for it, even if it's an artist or a design that I don't think is particularly compelling. Like
Peach Momoko covers.
Yeah, someone's going to... It seems like people want them. Occasionally it'll be something where I think a cover is particularly cool and people didn't really, connect with it. But yeah, we'll get, 4 or 5 copies just to see if we can create some interest or whatever. Yeah, I who did I skip? I think I skipped the Ron Lim cover for an upcoming Thor where there were like 17
Ron Lim,
covers.
Such a definitive artist for me.
We actually
his Silver Surfer design and his run on Cap.
Sure, I liked his
He did
cap.
Streets of Poison.
I liked his cap design. I liked
drugs.
his wide cap.
Yeah, and the thick stripes. But anyway, I also would skip Ron Lim cover.
Well, it was
today.
weird because it was for a Thor thing, and we had a couple special orders for it. But I'm like, don't think anyone else is going to want this cover.
I'm
So
always
I
surprised
said no.
when we get special orders for the Todd Knockhead covers.
Sure.
Always surprised. And Young Justice was a big deal for I'm not trying to shit on any of these artists.
Right.
I am legitimately a fan.
Yeah.
While we're taking this break for me to edit some things out, I think this is our last time doing a Manscaped ad. I'm not sure. I have no idea if anybody has used the Challengers discount code, but if you were at all interested in trying any of the Manscaped line of products, do it now, because this may be the last week that this discount code is active.
Oh, yeah.
So do that if you can. Support for Contest of Challengers is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code CHALLENGERS at manscaped.com. We're happy to have Manscaped as a sponsor because we already used these products before they even approached us.
Yep. We use the products, we enjoy the products, and we were happy to let people know that Manscaped is something that they should have in their lives and that they can also get a pretty good savings on. Manscaped includes waterproof trimmers. It reduces foot odor. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer helps reduce nicks. It reduces the risk of ingrown hairs and reduces the risk of grooming accidents, which, pretty big thing. Reducing grooming accidents, I'd maybe put at the top of that list.
Yeah, right? Let's have
I
that.
would not save that for last. That's kind of a key component
Yep.
of the whole Manscaped deal. And speaking of Manscaped deal, 20% off if you use the discount code CHALLENGERS with an S at manscaped.com.
Getting back to ordering the variant covers.
Yes.
It is still such... so many of them aren't available to be viewed when we're ordering. So many are added before FOCs, and I don't think that's fair to anyone. Retailers, customers.
Yeah, it's certainly less useful to us to not have everything, on initial order in the catalog where people can look at them and make decisions. Some of it, I don't know. It's a fight I don't feel like having anymore.
Sure.
Because we're so far past that point.
Right.
Getting mad at Marvel about nearly anything is the most useless usage of energy in the entire industry. Marvel doesn't care.
No.
Marvel will never care.
No.
Marvel institutionally will not care about what retailers want and what retailers are telling them. There is an additional layer of infrastructure, which is Penguin Random House, that is basically designed to take information from retailers and pass it along to Marvel. And
Marvel will then crinkle it up into a ball and throw it in the trash.
And I have heard from people who work for Penguin Random House that they are as frustrated with Marvel at times as we are with Marvel by just passing along this information and feeling like it does not matter.
You know what's interesting to me about the questions you just answered for a person at Penguin Random House?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I did a great job, but
they were very excited for it. It's literally the same thing that I had a phone call for
I know.
like a month ago.
That's why I just did it.
Yeah. I mean, didn't...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. What I feel is the biggest problem in the comics industry is that it's being...
Roaches.
Technically, it's being strangled to death by so much product that has no shelf life.
Yeah.
And doesn't exist. And, a lot of these...
I mean,
sometimes I'm worried about these DC... Black Label books because they're all 3 issues and then collected.
Right.
So it's why should anybody buy why should anyone buy the 3 issues because it's going to be in a trade? Or if it's Swamp Thing, Green Hell, they'll put 1 issue out and then forget about it for a year.
9 months.
And maybe get back to
issues.
it. But it's all these smaller companies and new companies coming out with universes full of books. And there's too much. And it's all noise and none of it matters. And I've had this discussion with you on this podcast, in the store, 1,000 times. There's a publisher who's very, very energetic in the way they promote their books, and they always reach out and they're like, no, look, this one's going to be big. So they're doing it right now with a book that I read and thought was bad.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't respond to them, because I can never tell if the emails are actually personal or they're just using a service that has...
Sure.
our name plugged in. But, you can't... It's like Crying Wolf. Every book... Like, you got to believe in every book you put out, but you can't love them all equally. You can't say that every Thor movie is equally as good.
That's insane. That's an insane
One of
thing to
them
say.
has to be the best. One of them has to be the worst. It's just the way things are. Nothing is equal.
Especially if one of them has problems. Like, inherently, wouldn't that mean... that,
All of them have problems?
well, if all of them even have problems, they can't have the exact same number of problems.
Right.
At the exact same seriousness.
Sure.
Like, some of them have to be more serious problems than others. Anyway.
But it's just that there's too much product, and
really
if
is.
you look at our shelves, we can't expand our store.
No.
So we have to seriously curate what's coming out. And I got to tell you, the number of smaller publisher books, and I'm not singling out any titles,
No.
but if you look at Vault or Aftershock or
AWA.
AWA, we don't get most of their trades because I don't feel that those have a life.
Yeah, the bigger problem is just that when you get a collection and you have to think, okay, is someone going to come in and look at the bookshelves and either see this and go, yeah, I want that, or specifically come in for that book? And the thing is, for a lot of, like, essentially back of the catalog stuff, there isn't that possibility. Like, there are occasionally things that we get in or I'll be shelving something and I'll look at stuff surrounding it and go, oh yeah, that. Just something that might have come out from, Source Point Press or something, like 3 years ago. And it's like, oh yeah. And we probably haven't turned it in 3 years. And
then
the
we
odds
have to
of
run...
The odds of anyone coming in looking for it are incredibly slim because the creative team never went on to do anything big. And the concept is kind of lost to time. No one remembers what this book is about.
So that means it's more work for us every year to decide what to never stock again because there's no room.
Yeah.
And this is not like comics is not an infinite realm. I mean, it feels like it when you get the
New product
monthly
every
order
month.
catalogs. But where does this stuff go?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, the market kind of takes care of it for us, where every week we'll end up trying to reorder something and then find out that a publisher's taken it out of print. So that's a book we won't carry anymore because we can't carry it anymore. But it's not nearly as like the amount of stuff that goes out of print every week is not matched by the amount of new product that we're getting in
Not
every
in
week.
the slightest.
It is a very big discrepancy between those two amounts, tilted heavily in favor of new product coming in. So yeah, we reach these stages where we have to kind of really cut a ton of stuff that we have on the shelves. I don't think we're there yet for certain categories, but I think horror in particular is kind of...
Yeah, horror has always been
we
bursting at the seams.
Some of it's just format stuff where it's like we had 2 full shelves of like Walking Dead trades and hardcovers and omnibuses.
Yeah.
We don't need to carry anything other than the omnibuses anymore. The compendiums, I guess I should call them.
Yep.
Omnibus was a different thing. So like we only need to carry the 4 Walking Dead compendiums and only one of each at that. But we still have Legacy, these softcovers and hardcovers that we cannot get rid of because no one is buying it in that format anymore. So you have randomly like hardcover volume 8 and softcover volume 15, and it's like, okay, well, I might as well throw these in the garbage because even discounting them, you're still hoping that someone wants these random volumes. They can't get the entire 32 or 33 softcovers at half off. They can get a few of them. So you're probably going to end up having to put them in the garbage. Like we've had to do that before with other books where even for $5, which could be a 75% discount, couldn't sell it. No one wanted it.
Right. On the one hand, you're like, oh, we can get rid of all this stuff and like not have to worry about it. On the other hand, you look at it like, this is thousands of dollars of merchandise.
Yeah, every time we put stuff in the comic back issues, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, at best we're going to get our cost back on this, and at worst, maybe not even that, depending on how, thick the book is and what the cover price was.
Speaking of those decade books, somebody brought up a stack of like $9 cover price back or 99 cover price back issues.
That's the stuff to buy for $2. Good for them.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I can't fault them.
Yeah,
we're the one that priced it, but
Barbie
it's like
Hunter.
Ugh. So here we are losing $3 per book on these, but we're getting $2 back.
Yeah, we weren't getting that in the
that's
boxes
something.
in the back hallway.
That's something. If you ever, the next time you're in the store, if you're local, if you're a listener who's local to Chicago, and just look around at the sheer amount of product that is wonderfully organized, beautifully faced, but crammed into the store, and know that we had to pay for every single thing in there, and we don't get that money back unless you buy it.
Right.
We're not a bookstore who can, after 6 months, just say, here's a pallet back, take it,
No.
give us money back. When just like last week, I think I said this on last week's podcast, when we got copies of Devil in the White City by mistake in a diamond order. Oh, did the rest of that order ever come in? Did you ever figure that out?
It was a PRH order.
PRH.
I had to go through, not to get off topic.
Please, I asked, and this was a follow-up from last week.
So here's what I had to do. Like I was telling you, I had to basically go to PRH's site and get an actual manifest for what was supposed to be in that box. Like, go through and find, like, what was the UPS tracking number that corresponds to one box.
Right, because the invoice doesn't that correspond to the box.
The invoice is everything that could have gone out from multiple warehouses in, like, a one-day period.
And how many POs are
we were missing
purchase orders
a ton of stuff. I had to call Penguin Random House and read off ISBNs, and I had to go through this sheet. I had to print out this 5-page sheet.
Oh, God.
And then cross off what was already there, and then circle anything that was damaged, and then go through the rest and go, okay, we'll circle this at short, circle this at short. And then I had to call Penguin Random House and read off all this stuff.
Oh, my God.
I'd reordered it the day before, so we just took the credit for it. But yeah, it was a ton of stuff.
We keep getting phone calls from Simon & Schuster. Not phone calls, I'm sorry. We keep getting statements. I got to get the terminology right. Statements from Simon & Schuster saying, hey, you're delinquent on this order, or now we're serious delinquent.
No.
And I've just been randomly giving them, because they don't have any way for us to find out what we owe them on their website. They have no
distributor seems to, except for Diamond.
So with Simon & Schuster, you get a paper statement once a month. And based off of what we spend per month, I randomly send them money during the month. And each time I've gotten one of those letters, I'm like, all right, fine, here's $1,000. And the last one came in, it's like, okay, now you owe us $2,000. I'm like, I just gave you $2,000. How is this possible that these are severely delinquent?
Right.
And then when I call our rep, I leave a message, they don't call back.
Yeah, the thing that's the most frustrating about how every distributor other than Diamond and Lunar seems to operate is basically the problem is back orders. What you owe them, the distributors like Penguin Random House or Simon & Schuster or Hachette or whatever, is off of individual purchase orders. The problem,
POs.
The problem is the POs, like if you order 20 books on a purchase order, they might have in stock 15 of those. 5 of them are going to go to back order. So what you owe them is currently, let's say off of that one purchase order is $150. Great, you paid it. You've made more orders. Now, all of a sudden, 5 months later,
2 of those books are available.
3 more of those books came in. So now suddenly you owe $15 extra on that, or $30 on that purchase order. So if you're not paying attention, you can suddenly have 15 different purchase orders that all have minor amounts on them, and that all adds up into something.
I would say that you can't possibly pay attention.
And that's the thing. You really can't, because the amount of stuff, like...
The amount of open purchase orders since we started ordering...
And because of the way that purchase orders...
Hundreds.
Yeah, and the orders
still
that
open
go out from places like Penguin Random House and Simon & Schuster, it could literally be 3 different purchase order emails that you get in a day where 1 or 2 books are coming out from each of them in different orders. So it's not like you get an invoice for the day that says, okay, well, these 3 purchase orders and these 3 books and this is the amount. You just get these random things like, oh, we shipped a book out, you owe us $5 more. Oh, we shipped 2 more books out, you owe us $16 more. And that's why you want there to be one place where it's like, what is the total amount of money that I owe you?
Yeah.
And no one can give you that. And it's incredibly frustrating. And that's, for me, someone who does not do the bookkeeping for challengers. I'm frustrated just knowing it exists.
We always, Dow and I, behind the scenes, talk about money because money is always very tight. Mm-hmm. Even though we've survived through a pandemic and business is doing very well, but we're spending so much more money per week than we ever used to. And if you look at the amount of money we were giving to Diamond pre-pandemic, weekly, for everything, for everybody.
Well, the thing is, and I mean, this is not accounting for everything that we're talking about. We are doing more business.
Right.
And more business means more product.
Yeah, no, but also...
Like, our margins didn't get better at all.
There's more product to buy, is my point.
Absolutely.
We're spending more just on PRH every week, and we still have to pay for Diamond, and we have to pay Lunar,
Yep.
and we have to pay Simon & Schuster, and Hachette, and Ingram,
And Southern
and
Hobby.
Southern Hobby. And if we do Post Emporium, or Attaboy, or Pyramid, or
Yeah.
you name it, not counting when we buy things from like Fend, or from Rachel Bard, or
Right. Or whoever.
whoever, yeah.
No, it's true. I mean,
So it's insane. It's impossible, and
it really is.
it is like in the past there were points where, okay, let me rephrase that. We were both heavily stressed, and the cause of the stress changes over the years. But for a while there, it wasn't money. For a very long time, it was weekly money. But then it became distributors and point of sale systems,
Yeah.
and now it's all of those things plus money again.
Yeah.
And it's a thing where it's laughable by how this doesn't make sense to anyone. It was Easter this weekend, and I was talking to my sister's father-in-law, who's an older gentleman, but he's been a businessman his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone always says, "Oh, how's the store doing? How's comics doing?" And normally you go, "Oh, it's great." But lately I'm like, "It's impossible." And then they want to know why. And you break it down, and they can't make sense of this. And these are, I would say that this gentleman is far more educated than I am,
Yep.
and has a way better business acumen than I do. And he's also very frugal with his money. He's very, what's a good, like basically, he's not an accountant, but like accountant things excite him.
Okay.
So me just
Money-minded.
yeah, that's a good phrase. Thank you. Me just like touching the base of this, he doesn't understand any of it. That starts asking me questions that are why questions, and I'm like, I can't answer these.
Uh-huh.
You ask them why they do this.
It's a stupid industry, that's why.
Yeah, but also it's not just comics, it's the book industry.
Yeah.
And no, it's not like this for most other places.
I was stunned when I talked to a rep at one of our distributors who deals with the book market, complaining about the amount of damages we were receiving and the poor packing material, and being like, is this? I get these books and I'm like, this is barely sellable. Like, does the book trade not care about this? Have they never cared about this? And the answer I was given was no, they don't care about it. And it was just like, oh, okay, that seems like a bad market. It does not seem like a good market.
We were brought into that market, so we're not allowed to care about it either.
I kind of love that the Penguin Random House, who is a comic distributor now, basically had to learn and train their people to take care of the product that they were sending out. That it should arrive in a good condition. And that's a new thing that they had to sort of find systems for. And they're still 6 months later iterating on systems for, because they haven't solved that problem yet.
Yep.
And
trying.
I find that delightful as a data point. It's really funny to me. Comics is pretty fun, Patrick. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Here's another thing I'm complaining about.
Yeah.
We saw all these new Marvel Legends this week that are coming out soon, like the Spider-Man ones, the Thor ones.
Yep.
They all look great, right?
A toad.
Right. They all look great, right?
They do.
Do you know what our current cost per figure is from... Just pick one of our
Southern Hobby?
toy to figure. Just pick one.
Sure.
No, I don't mean pick one. I mean pick a price.
Okay.
Just say it out loud.
Oh, it's like $19 maybe?
We currently pay $17, not counting shipping,
Okay.
per Marvel Legend.
Okay.
All these new figures,
Uh-huh.
$21.15 cost.
Yeah. Hasbro's basically said, like, the costs are going up for figures. That's plastic, that's supply chain, that's everything.
Basic. That's
Yep.
like Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man or Future Foundation Spider-Man.
So,
Iron Spider-Man, he's like $25 cost.
yeah, I want to say that Iron Spider in particular, I saw on the BBTS website, I think he's retailing for $32. That is a single action figure.
He's retailing for $32.
Right.
Cost for that
Right.
is like $24.
Well, their cost is different than our
Sure,
cost,
but
yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's definitely a problem. Toy collectors are aware of it. It's been happening with Hasbro stuff for the last year. Even places like Target that usually can keep prices incredibly low are raising prices on all their Hasbro stuff. They just have to. It's plastic costs,
Sure.
it's shipping issues,
Sure.
supply chain, COVID, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just the cost of manufacturing and producing these figures has increased, and they are passing the extra expense along, and so will we.
We'll have to, but I mean, I can understand. I mean, we charge $28.99 per figure now for base figure, and God, man, we're going to be selling them for like $32.99, $34.99,
Probably.
And
is the Thor ones? The Thor ones are not less than that.
we haven't seen prices for those.
I want to say the I could be wrong on this, but I want to throw out there the possibility that I think the Spider-Man ones are part of like a different, like an anniversary wave. So I think the price points might be higher because those are like fan channel exclusive sort of things.
Whatever, it's the same fucking figures.
They are, but that's how Hasbro's done them before, where it's essentially the equivalent of like a previous exclusive pop vinyl. Everything about it's the same, but because it's more limited, it's a few bucks more. And so hopefully the Thor figures, when we get pricing on those, we'll see that since those are mass produced, they'll probably still, again, prices are going to go up.
Sure.
But maybe not as much.
So this is not exclusive to action figures.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the 2 exclusive comic covers we're going to be doing in the future. Both of those are going to be higher prices.
Yep.
Why is that? Because it costs way more to make, because there's plate costs and extra printing fees and extra artist fees and extra delivery fees, and it's like, oh yeah, no, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We have to do the same thing. We can't sell this. You can do a Powerbomb #1 for the A cover for $3.99 off the shelf, or you can buy ours for $10.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I will say that it's so hard to keep on top of everything coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I read through so many publisher emails. I may not read all their books. Like, we got an Aftershock one today, and there's a new Wando anthology coming out.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and said, I'm not going to read that.
Same here.
But
I know who it's for.
Right. But I don't... It's not... Yeah. Anyway. But there's sometimes we don't find out about things. There is... I was trying to segue to something else, but I was at one of our suppliers this morning.
Okay.
And I found a bunch of new things they had. And oftentimes, there's things they have that I just say, Challengers doesn't carry. Mm-hmm. Challengers doesn't carry Star Wars greeting cards. Things like that.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
And there's always these options like, hey, you can have... what about, do you want to carry Paw Patrol merchandise? Mm-hmm. Do you want to carry Disney Princess merchandise? And it's always going to be no. Like, as far as knickknacks and collectibles and things, we try to keep it to just superheroes and comic books, right?
Yep.
I did break one of my own rules. Mm-hmm. I found oh man, I can't even say it out loud. A gift bag.
Okay.
With a design that is something I would normally say, I don't want this for the store.
Yeah.
So, but I got that. It is Star Wars.
I'm sorry, what was that, Patrick?
I forget.
You were mumbling there.
Really?
I didn't hear it.
I think everybody else heard me fine.
I don't think so.
So there's that. That goes back to just being like, no, we're going to curate what we're doing.
Sure.
We can't, there were a bunch of Eternals gift bags, like tote bags. I'm like, these are movie designs. I don't like them. I don't want them.
Sure.
If you had Jack Kirby Eternals bags, I would carry
Yeah,
those.
not Jack Kirby Eternals bags.
Yeah, they had a line of Marvel birthday cards for kids, but they were all specific number ages.
Nope.
Don't want that.
No.
Like, the ones I want are just generic, can be used for anybody's birthday. Yeah. And historically, we've found 3.
Huh.
3 we can use, a Spider-Man, an Avengers, and a Cap. And now I can't find the Cap to reorder that.
Great.
But, I mean, I can never find DC ones.
Mm-hmm.
I almost bought a Wookiee one, or there was a Chewbacca generic card. Sure. But when you read the inside, it specifically said kid.
Oh, okay.
Like, nope, it's not general enough. But it was a nice Wookiee card. But I also found, get this, a comic book I've never heard of, and it came bagged in like one of those packs you would find like in Kmart, like, hey, there's 3 comics, but it's just one.
Okay.
And it looks awful.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, I gotta try this. So we'll be carrying that. Okay. It's like some paramilitary group. And Chris Marinin did the art.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I haven't read them because they're all sealed.
Glad someone's getting paid.
Yeah. So we're always on the lookout for something that makes the store a little bit more fun, a little bit more unique, a little bit more of an interest to people. Like, we found the same supplier has all those magic towels. Mm-hmm. Those little compressed towels. You add water, they become washcloths.
Yep, and cups.
Yeah, and I bought a bunch more cups and magic towels today.
Neat.
But one of the things I was trying to get at was there's so many exclusives in so many different places that you don't even know exist. We've been on the hunt for Quasar figures.
Yes.
That are only available at... he's unpacked. Oh, look at that. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Steve and David, who found one for Dal.
Thanks, Steve.
But we knew that existed, but it wasn't until we were watching a Danhausen unboxing video that we found this, I think, amazing Doctor Strange comic book Marvel Legends figure that's a Walmart exclusive.
Yeah.
And I had just...
You broke down.
Well, I don't like... I used to buy all the Marvel Legends when they first came out, but I didn't like their posability and their weird ball joints in their hips. Mm-hmm. And I got rid of a lot of them. And I had never had a classic Doctor Strange. So I finally am like, you know what? I'm going to get from Challengers a Benedict Cumberbatch Doctor Strange from the new wave of movie figures.
Yeah. You had a choice. You could have gone with the No Way Home, but you instead went with the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange.
Yes, I did. But I never opened it. So when I found this Danhausen one, which is classic Doctor Strange from the comics, and it's spectacular, and I ordered it from Walmart online, and it came like in 3 days. And it's such a great figure. And it's a kind of thing that, like, man, I wish we could carry that. We carry Marvel Legends.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we carried the Marvel Selects for a while, was because they had just some classic figures that you can't easily reorder. You just want a Hulk figure and a Spider-Man figure and a Daredevil figure, and you can get those from Marvel Select generally.
Yeah.
They just keep them in production.
They do.
It's a hard thing to explain to parents, especially during the holidays when they come in and it's like, my kid wants a Spider-Man figure, and it's like, well, this time of year they don't have a Spider-Man movie out, so there are no corresponding Spider-Man action figures that we still have in stock.
Yeah.
Like we had them 6 months ago when the movie came out, and now they're sold out. They will make more. Maybe not the exact Spider-Man your kid wants, but they'll make them. And it's even worse when it's just, random Avenger characters. Like, my kid wants an Iron Man. Well, he's dead in the movie, so they're not making a lot of Iron Man figures anymore.
Would you perhaps like a comic book Captain Britain instead?
I got Ironheart. I got War Machine. I got a hologram. I don't know.
We don't have any of those either.
But, I mean, those we've had.
Yeah. The Marvel Select figures, like, they've just gone up to $30 a figure.
Yeah. And I don't like stocking those because they take up so much space.
They take up so much space, but except for, like, the Scarlet Witch we have right now, we've always sold them.
They do eventually go.
They sell because they're classic figures.
Maybe we put them on top of the bookshelves again.
Yeah, but, I mean, we both hate doing that.
Yeah, but, if they sell.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like the store's aesthetics and design to be a certain way, but I also like making money. So...
Well, let's try to do more of that.
Okay.
Immediately. Start doing it right now.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I mean, an order just came in, so I guess...
Yeah, all right. Let's go. Let's back to work. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.